You are live, it says. Alright. So let's put this over here. The internet can totally see you now. Stop. Use your encoder. YouTube's funny. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
If you're there, I'm trying to get to where I can see some better data here.
Let's see
You think they have a cheater page? Where's the link that just takes me to this? Basic info.
Alright, looks like we're live.
Alright. Well, still slowly but surely getting set up here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience this strange afternoon. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh yeah, I forgot with OBS we should be able to see this anyway. So we go like that. Should I this up? Oh wait, no, we want to see how many views. 3 watching now. Yes. 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 Oh. Tell them about it on Facebook. Tell them about it on Twitter. We're gonna be on the YouTubes doing RX only picture show. Tell them about it on Facebook. Tell them about it on your Twitter. Please don't put us on Tumblr. We are RX only picture show. Tell them about it on Facebook. Tell them about it down at the church. Tell them about it on Twitter. We are the RX only picture show.
It's not working.
Hey. Hey, hey. What? It's imagination ride. What does it ride? I was going to try and get our thing back here. Uh-oh. Same password over here?
No, it's
Don't say it out loud.
what's that?
I see. Thank you. It's a secret.
It's a secret. I don't know if it's working.
I think it's working. We're on there.
Well, all I'm getting is this.
That's what we're getting. Might just be because our connection, your connection just isn't very happy. Maybe we're trying to connect with too many things. Are they upstairs connected too?
Nobody's upstairs.
Nobody's upstairs.
Nobody's upstairs.
We don't know if you can see us or hear us.
Live.
We're live and we're blind and dumb. This is the stream. I'm gonna have to change the title. And I'm just trying to get my picture back, picture back, picture back. Oh, what? This thing. I'm gonna get this. I don't know what you had open. Did you have it open in Chrome?
Firefox.
Check out my butt. Not you, Jim.
No worries.
This thing like rebooted or something. Hey! Get out of here!
Get out!
This isn't Dark Knight. Did I step on you? It's supposed to be there. Got this weird man. It's like none of this stuff like wants to tell us stuff. Uh-oh, we're getting more. I don't know, I'm right.
This video is unavailable on this device.
Oh, and shared the new link.
It's live.
I guess we're here. I'm sorry, folks. When the Wi-Fi is funny, it is so confusing, we just don't know what. So we stare at our phones like brain dead, and we should be singing to you. Not bad improv, right? I wish I knew how many were watching. I wish they would chat to me. Send us a message and we'll juggle cabbage next week, next week, next week. Yeah. I think right now we're doing what all good computer users do, which is when it's lagging, press S5 so that everything lags all the more. I'm just going to grab the guitar, Jim.
Alright. I'm just trying to get this posted to Facebook.
3 are watching. So let's start with there's a little song we play around here. We play it sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end, sometimes in the middle. Sometimes we'll have a stream dedicated to playing a song the whole time. Late 2015, Silver Gaming. Thank you, Silver Gaming. Yes, we see you. With that kind of attitude, you'll get yourself made into a moderator. You better be careful, mister. Late 2015, I started to doubt the shape of the Earth for the second time in my life. I had forgotten the first time that I had come to believe that the Earth was flat. That was probably like, I don't know, way back, man. How long is way back? Like 06, 06? 06? But yeah, so when I remembered, I wrote this song, and it goes like this. Well, today I remembered that I'd forgotten the Earth was flat. Really can't tell you just how I feel about that. All this time wasted thinking I'm standing on a ball, when the truth is I had no balls at all. Because this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, turtle's all the way down, turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, turtle's all the way down. It's all about Jews and Masons wearing silly hats, fucking lying, worn and cheating based on where their fathers sat. Kidnap and enslave the indigenous, get them all spun out, smoking smack, replace that yin and yang. Until this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down. Turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, turtle's all the way down. Where's my kazoo? Where rockets all fall flat. They'll switch to CGI, but they never switch it back. So pictures of the Earth of other galaxies, those satellites in the sky like flies or gravity. Because this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, and you've been played for a clown. This turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, and the fool's head's wearing the crown. Ooh, and the fool's head's wearing the crown. And at least that's something. Hooray, hooray. No more comments, Silver Gaming? We were hoping you keep picking on us, man.
We've been kind of slowing down.
We suck, so, I mean, if we're sucking, you should pick on us.
Yeah, please pick on us some more.
You gotta... Isn't that what the internet's all about? When you're not playing, you gotta turn the light off. Those are the rules.
Maybe we should stop our recording.
Why is that?
Well,
you think that's sucking?
It might be slowing us down. Yeah. Because we're like frozen up. I can't get any of it to work.
Aha! That's a funny one. It's a funny game.
Gotta click it. Let's try to fix our
what in the world?
Our stream here.
Always block notifications from Science ABC. Fucking fucks. I wanted our bomb. Your users do, which is when show this. Is that what they're saying? Show that. I'm a Mac guy. I need a Mac and a Coca-Cola. I'll drive my Ford out of here, man.
Hey, I think we're frozen, man.
Yeah?
We need to turn off the recording or something, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can figure that we did different.
Well, it shouldn't be sucking up, we're not.
Oh, we're not.
Yeah. Frozen up here. Let's just refresh and see what happens. I think the internet's just acting jibby-jabby on us.
Oh, man, I hate that jibby-jabby internet.
Those two people are still watching. We're sorry, folks. We're not getting a very good external monitor of what's going on, so it's kind of like playing in the dark.
Okay, it's working a little better now, I think. Yeah.
I know what's wrong. Shit.
What's that?
Duh. How stupid of us.
That'll clear the air.
Jesus. No pizza either? Oh, I guess we had salad. That's cool.
And some salad, yes. Delicious. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
let's see.
Oh, now we're getting more stuff. Yeah, I'm the bomb. We're talking about reading the news. So you're not a fan of Silver Gaming? I bet he left, that poor guy. Got to tune in. Of course, some people got to tune in when you're at your worst. Just like in, just like in real life.
Yeah. Except for most of the time, we're not at our worst in real life, just when we come on live.
That's true. True, very true.
Yes. So, how about you gonna do some juggling?
I
Yo-yoing?
just picked up the yo-yo because, man, just because. So far, I'm not encouraged. How are we going to prevent this thing from doing what it did last time? I guess we don't have to. That was kind of cool. We can let it go screensaver.
Yeah.
And try and reboot it.
Dog, do tricks.
dog do tricks? No, the dog doesn't do tricks. Hey, it's boost. Now I feel better already. Someone I know is here.
All right.
Frodo, get out of the way, man. You're in my way. You're too close. You got to give us some room.
Come here, Frodo.
He's like, I feel the anxiety too, guys. Let's all huddle in a pile. We feel nervous.
Time to walk the dog, huh?
Yeah, walk the dog. Yeah. For you, it's the screen dog. Frodo, I think
This is Frodo.
Yeah, walk the dog. Let's walk. Come on, Frodo. We're gonna walk the dog.
Take him forward.
Come on. Come on.
He's like, nah, I don't do yo-yo tricks.
Come on. Yes. Now, if this doesn't get us some views, nothing. What you mad for? Goodbye, Frodo. The treetop. Little Frodo. And the TV. He says, dude, I'm about to jump and that's not my thing. Let me set you down. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Here you go.
So what do dogs do after they finish obedience school?
What do they do?
They get their masters.
I know some people at school. They're miserable. They're unhappy saps. I got an idea. How about if I study all these lies? You can give me a piece of paper that's I studied them.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be complete without a lifetime of debt.
I better try. Well, yeah, wait. I got a better idea. How about I give you between 50 and 150 grand for you to give me lies to memorize, and I'll spout it back to you. And if I fail, you keep the money. And if I win, well, I'll still keep the money. Oh, man.
So I sent you I saw a news article today. Let me see. It was about people in China. If they what was it?
I wonder if people can see that. It's summertime because the dogs are shedding, boys and girls.
In China, it says traffic police in southwest China are telling drivers accused of minor offenses that they can avoid a fine if they confess on social media, but the confession must get 20 likes.
Wow. Yeah. I sent you a video back in response to that. Did you see it?
I didn't watch it. No. What?
So
What
let
did
me
you
read
send
that.
me?
Let me read that again. So now we're getting somewhere. It says here, according to some news feed, avoid traffic fines by confessing online. April 19th, 2018, traffic police in southwest China are telling drivers accused of minor offenses they can avoid a fine if they confess on social media. But the confession must get 20 likes. And there's an opportunity, if this wasn't a screen capture, to actually listen to the news clip. So, thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim sent that to me, and it reminded me of there's a gaming YouTube channel that I don't recall right now. But their focus wasn't politics. Their focus was gaming. Like, I think they are all about like inside baseball and gaming, how to design games and what's going on in the inside of gaming, of the world of gaming. So not just like a typical gaming channel where you're watching people play games online, but where they're exploring how to be successful at making games and all that kind of stuff. But they did this video where they're like, holy crap, we saw this and we were really hoping it was fake, but it turns out it's not. And it's like, China has this social media app where you judge and like and dislike and either earn merits or demerits of behavior, and it affects...
Like your credit, right?
Yeah, it's like a credit, it's like a social credit rating. And it's real, and right now it's ironically, it becomes mandatory in 2020. Which, for those of you who understand communitarianism, which is very few of you, but Niki Raapana wrote a book called 2020: Our Common Destiny, and the reason is, and that's the reason. The reason is because 2020 is one of their main target dates for their new system of changing the world. And I know everybody thinks you're nuts because of guys like Alex Jones when you talk about a one world government, but if you go look at quotes and other literature written by really powerful people from banking families and politics and big bloodline families, they all openly brag that their goal is to implement some kind of a world government. So 2020 being when it becomes mandatory wasn't lost on me. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, it's what does the all-seeing eye see? 2020, right?
Yeah, exactly.
2020 vision.
Exactly.
All those occultists and
so,
oculists.
Oculists. Oh, Andy Worski and your VR porn, bro. Well, that's kind of off subject, huh?
I think so.
Andy Worski. Ah! Oh, James Maiden says communitarianism. That'll confuse him. James Maiden, known here in the room as Jem. That's Jem. I'm SB. That's Jim. Oh, where's my finger? Come on, finger.
This guy.
That's weird. Oh,
we're on a delay in there.
Yeah, I forgot it's delayed. It's more one world governance than government. Thank you. Mujahideen knows what I'm talking about. One of the few people out in the world that actually I've known for a long time on the internet who has actually studied this stuff. And yes, so there's a difference between governance and government. And boy, off the top of my head, without looking it up, how would I describe it? Governance is what they're promoting with that app. And that
self-governance, right?
Right. The governance,
if they made us automatically turn ourselves in for committing crimes, and we got points.
Well, that's what I've made a couple tweets about it, and I've tried to explain it to a few people, but I'd say for the most part, you're seeing it all over social media. Hold on here, I'm gonna adjust this camera. Ting-a-ding. Yeah, like that. Makes this picture show. Get this a little bit better here. How's that? Is that right? Yeah. I don't want the top of my head cut off. That's better. All right, so you're seeing today the KUMITE is a perfect example. Okay, so this morning Tonkasaw, who is the main host on the KUMITE, along with Failure in the Morning. Or Failure, let's see, what's Failure Achieved? Failure Accomplished is the guy's name. I don't know either of those guys' real names because they're more interested in anonymity than I am. My real name is SB Alger. But this morning, there wasn't going to be a KUMITE. The KUMITE is a popular morning talk show, kind of like the Morning Zoo on the radio, only it's pretty much uncensored. They don't go completely taboo and out of bounds, but they say fuck and shit and talk about Jews and racism in a way that you would never be allowed to on any regular broadcast media. But the original channel, Tonkasaw's channel, was flagged on YouTube, and whether it was flagged for some reason or whether it was flagged just because a bunch of do-gooders or grumpy butts ran around and flagged it, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But they moved this show. It's a very popular show. It gets anywhere from 2,000 to up to 10,000 people watching at any given time. They moved it from Tonkasaw's channel to Failure Accomplished channel because of the flagging. And so it's been on Failure's channel for at least 2 months now, I think, maybe more. And now, this morning, we find out that Failure's channel has also been flagged down. So now these channels are locked for up to 6 months because of the flagging. And so Tonkasaw, not being a big internet nerd like the rest of the people involved, was actually perfectly happy to quit. He was done. He was ready to quit because you keep building up your platform over here on your channel where you're dumping lots of time and effort and hard work into creating good content for people. Now, when you're doing a live show like this, you're kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. So, you know, either Jim and I suck tonight, or we suck at the beginning and we're good now and we're going to suck again in a minute and you get to see it all live, or not, you know, whatever. But if you're producing video, if anyone's in production out there knows, like Mr. Medicare is a popular guy making videos making fun of, or I wouldn't even say completely making fun of. He's definitely prefers to watch the shit show dumpster fires, and he makes a mockery of people who act really fucking stupid on the internet. And so he doesn't mind compiling together some video and saying, hey, here's another fat dumbass. Let's take a look at how silly he's acting. Well, if you've ever even tried to edit 10 minutes of video from 3 or 4 sources into one coherent, nice piece of media, then you have a vague idea of what people who are doing the hard work of real high-quality content creation are up against. So even when you see some crappy Christian channel or some cooking channel or something, if the production values are good, all the volumes are the same, the microphone is the right level, all the colors are nice, all the little graphics move nice, that takes hours and hours and hours of your time to produce that. I mean, even just a short 20-minute clip could take you easily 5 hours, depending on how many sources you're drawing from, how much editing you have to do beyond. There's a lot more to editing than just clipping the time-stamped areas and putting them together. I mean, you have to adjust levels, colors. You have to. It's work. If you've never done it, it's work. I mean, there's a reason I've avoided video editing in my life. I understand how to do it. I've done a very small amount of it. Unless someone wants to pay me a lot of money, I would not be interested to do it. So the people that are doing this out of the labor and goodness of their heart, and then someone turns around and says, boo, you said nigger, so we're flagging your channel, or whatever it might be, you know, then it becomes really discouraging. And if you watch, Jim mentioned this to me the other day, okay, so Richie from Boston, he's a pretty big conspiracy channel talking about chemtrails, talking about flat earth, talking about the Illuminati, and other stuff. You know, he's an interesting character to look at if you're into that thing. But they flagged his channel down, and so he made Richie from Boston too. I think Richie from Boston, what, has 500,000 subscribers?
Richie from Boston has 250,000.
So 250,000 subscribers. So people are watching his content. He's built up a channel to 250,000 people are tuned in, or at least have clicked the button to say that they're interested to be able to easily find and reference his content. They knock his channel down with a strike or two, and so he makes a new channel, and like only 20,000 people migrate over there. How many was it? 30,000? If you go to Richie from Boston 2,
25,000, 30,000.
You know, if somebody types in Richie from Boston 2 on YouTube, you can see, if you can go compare the two channels, and I think they even gave his first channel back now, because you can fight it and get it back. And you know, a lot of people just give up. It's kind of like an insurance claim or trying to get welfare from the government. A lot of people, they try, they get one rejection and they give up. The smart people try to fight it and try to fight it, and a lot of the time they'll get their content back. So bringing this full circle, you got the Morning KUMITE. You've also got Andy Worski had a strike on his channel, but he has a really good manager, and they got it pulled off. And if you look around, there's a whole bunch of people that are up against this. So, I mean, a lot of people are ready to quit or really frustrated with YouTube, with Twitch. You see it on Twitter, even though that's not really a video and media thing. There's a lot of people getting booted off of Twitter. Mike Headley's a guy I love on Twitter, and he's been booted off of Twitter like something like 21 times and keeps coming back because he's willing to call people out on their bullshit. And sometimes people get mad and they go cry to Twitter and push the report button, and it gets them booted off. Well, this is communitarianism. This is what's coming. Your entire governmental governance system is going to become this way, because that's what they're training you with on all these social media apps. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, all these places where if you're making fun of anyone that's in the little selected group of perfect people, the trans community, the homosexual, gay, lesbian community, people of color in any category. Like right now, it's definitely popular to pick on white people and especially white men. So if you're outside of those boundaries and you start really railing on people, not being polite, and just to be clear, because I'm right in the middle of saying this,
I don't have any problem with anyone. I judge every single individual I meet by the content of their character and the redundancy of it. That's what I care about. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your ethnicity is. I don't care what your religion is. I care if you can carry on a reasonable conversation respectfully and be honest consistently. That's what I care about, no matter what. You know, and every person is a case-by-case basis. I don't judge anybody based on where they come from or where I think they've come from. That's all bullshit. You know, it's not fair. Not that we all don't fall into personal bias. Everyone has personal bias. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's all communitarianism in that the old system is going away. And not just the old American system, but all of the old systems are being mothballed. And eventually they're going to be deplatformed, just like you can't use Windows XP anymore. You know, you might have it on your machine, but you can't get an update for it and you can't get any support for it. That's the same thing that you're going to see happen with all of the current governmental systems are all going to turn into slowly over time one system of governance, and it's all going to be based on spying on each other, policing each other, tattletelling on each other. This is where we're headed, and it's called communitarianism. Now, the other main thing you'll hear people call it is technocracy. You'll hear people talk about a transhumanist agenda, transhumanist, transtopian, you know, like this idea of blending everything together, not only gender and race and religion, but also blending man with the machine and eventually moving into some kind of futuristic weirdo world where we're all uploaded into the robot. Well, that's what they say is coming. Who knows? But before we get there, what they are going to do is make sure that everyone is encouraged to be aware that they're being spied on, not just by the platform they're using, but also by all of their neighbors at all times, and slowly integrate a system of rating into that like they are in China, so that if Jim cuts me off in traffic, it's really easy for me to thumbs down his driving, and after that's happened 100 times, maybe Jim doesn't have a driver's license anymore, or if he wants one, he has to pay a $100,000 insurance clause against his bad driving record based on Chinese Facebook or whatever you want to call it, you know. So, man, I gotta get off this soapbox. Excuse me. What next? I could stand here. I could actually stump on this for the rest of this time.
Yeah, let's talk about some more communitarianism. It's hard to wrap your brain around.
Well, the main woman who brought communitarianism to my attention was a woman named Niki Raapana. Niki Raapana, honestly, is completely discouraged at the idea and isn't even really promoting her work or doing interviews or writing on her blog. I don't think she's made a blog entry since 2015 because she tried so hard to encourage people to understand what was happening that she, after 10 years of hard work, became discouraged and essentially resigned herself to A, entering into the system that she was fighting against, and B, trying to make a livelihood doing something else, which is the Alaska Hemp Fest. So if you're an advocate of hemp, which you should be, whether it's to smoke marijuana for pain or to get high, or especially if it's for making all things better through the usefulness of the hemp plant, which we could spend, we could draw up a list on the internet and just read the usefulness of hemp. And it would take forever. It would take hours and hours. But you can do everything with it. Everything that we make things out of, just short of metals, you can make out of hemp, as far as I know. You know, so she's doing that instead. But what happened was, long story short, Niki Raapana and her daughter Nordica Freidrich were living in apartments in Seattle, Washington, and their landlord had come to them and said that the city was trying to take away his low-income apartments because they wanted to put a light rail in. And he was trying to do the legal research to get documentation to prove that they were intentionally targeting him so that he could fight back and hopefully win and prevent them from taking his properties. Well, in this process, and he had asked Niki and Nordica to help him because he knew they were good researchers, good writers, and had an understanding of how to do real searching through documentation, which is a very challenging thing if you've never done it. You know, someone brings you 5 boxes of paperwork that aren't correlated and organized, and you're supposed to go in there and find what you're looking for. Well, you better know what you're looking for. You better know how to read and know what you're doing. And Niki did. Niki was trained as a journalist and knew how to do that, and her daughter was willing to help her. So I'll try to make this as short as possible. So somewhere during that whole process, one of the neighbors in the similar low-income housing had a SWAT team show up, and they delivered them all a search warrant that said that they were harboring rodents and insects, and that was the reason that they were there searching their houses, which was a red flag to Niki that this was nonsense, that's not a legit reason to come kicking in the door and hold people at gunpoint and tell them that they're being detained while you search around inside the house because allegedly there's mice and bugs inside of low-income housing. This is nonsense. So she started to dig into it and figure out what's going on, and in the process of trying to understand how and why the city was making this plan to do something like kick in doors and hold people hostage because of, you know, rats and bugs. What she found was that Seattle was part of a pilot program for what they call ABCD, which is Asset-Based Community Development. So Asset-Based Community Development is a program that goes and they make a correlated and overlapping database of everything and everyone, and they use that to determine whether or not you're an asset or a liability to the community. If you want to reference it to something even more than that, you can look up, I think it's called broken window theory. I don't remember what man wrote broken window theory. You know, they also they have alongside of they call it ABCD, that's asset-based community development. Alongside that, they have what they call weed and seed. So they do a knock and talk. They'll come and knock on your door and ask whoever answers the door, who lives here, what do they do, why are they here, are there any children here. They'll essentially just shake you down. You know, the census is also part of this. You know, the people who run the census, if you've ever seen the old movies where the census person comes around and the oldest guy in the house decides to chase him off with a shotgun, you start to understand asset-based community development and correlate it all together, and you start to see why the census taker is looked at in some light as an enemy. Because they decide, you know, okay, so is it old people or young people, rich people or poor people, men or women, how many children, how many babies, how many junk cars, how much income, how many jobs, who's in school, who's not, who's educated, who's not. You know, you correlate that all to where somebody might want to put a monorail, or where someone might want to put up a high-rise hotel, or where somebody might want to expand the airport, and all of a sudden you have people being targeted like these people were. So then they start to come up with an excuse why this particular landlord, and if you think I'm exaggerating or not telling the truth, or just kind of blowing smoke, you can look up Hugh Sisley. Hugh Sisley was Niki Raapana's landlord's name. I think the man finally passed away. I think they finally got their dream, and now they're going to be able to finally commandeer his property somehow. He fought it and lost, and Niki helped him fight it and lose. And she, to be clear, as far as I know, never respected or really appreciated the man. She was just a person that believed in the laws of the United States of America, believed in the Constitution of America, and was trying to say, hey, this doesn't fit into what we learned and what we were taught. That they weren't actually using our constitutional government the way that we were taught that it was supposed to be used. That instead, they were using all these end-arounds and workarounds and systems to undermine what should be the regular legal process. And, you know, so after her and Nordica learned all of that, what they ended up with was finding this word communitarian and communitarianism over and over again, until it popped up enough times that they started to look for definitions, look for reasons why. And what you find when you look up communitarianism is that you find that a man named Amitai Etzioni, whose real name is Werner Falk, he's the man that alleges to have brought the word into the public eye, which isn't 100% true, but he is the person who spearheaded a resurgence and a new movement based on communitarianism. I think in the middle 80s. You know, I've done a lot of reading and research and even written some papers on this, so I'm working just from my brain here. I didn't bring any notes or anything. So Amitai Etzioni's real name was Werner Falk. He was taken out of Germany right before World War II really kicked off big, by his grandparents, I believe, or like his one member of his family got him out, and then the rest followed and didn't catch up with him for a few years. He was raised in a kibbutz in Israel, and a kibbutz is kind of like a communal. It's like a commune. It's not quite communism or socialist communism the way that you think of it, like the cliche of Russian communism or Asian Chinese communism, but it's very similar. And a kibbutz is a community, but it's contrived. You know, it's not a natural community. So in the 90s, I think him and some other guy, I can't remember his name, said that they felt like in the West, here in the United States and in the West in general, that we had focused on individual rights for too long. We were hyper individuals to the point of selfishness, and that we needed to balance or harmonize that back with the needs of the community, quote unquote. And so that's the real basis and the nature of communitarianism. If you wanted to give a definition of the word communitarianism, in the most basic and plainly stated way, they say it's a balancing of the rights of the individual with the needs of the global community. And, you know, right out front, on the surface, that sounds okay, right? Like, hey, we can't all just only think about ourselves. We can't just be selfish. We have to imagine what the community needs and balance these things out. And so that's the way they sell all of their bullshit.
Like universal basic income.
Yeah, universal basic income. The reason they keep bringing that up, and the idea of $15 an hour minimum wage, all of these things, once you wrap your head around the concept of communitarianism, it all starts to look like one big puzzle instead of a bunch of disparate, strange happenings over here, happenings over there. You start to see it as an overarching thing. It's one big picture. And so...
like the AI singularity is all part of that, I think.
It is,
you know?
yeah. You know, the robots, technology, artificial intelligence, all the geoengineering in the sky, molecular engineering of food through DNA and through genetically modified everything. And when I say everything, look it up. Look up Craig Venter. Craig Venter is the man who figured out how to take a shotgun approach to the human genome. He floats around now on a boat called Sorcerer 2. He's the first person to ever have come up with artificial synthesized life. Craig Venter is he's a genius, but my fear is that he's an evil genius. And so, yeah, if you start to look at things like all of the political plays, you know, what they call realpolitik. If any of you guys study that out there, you know what realpolitik is not just politics. That's kind of like saying the grand game or the big game. There's a reason they call it a theater of war. You know.
What's that guy's name? Craig Venter?
Venter, yeah. It's Vinter, Craig Venter. Kind of lost my chain of thought here. No, that's okay.
Theater of war.
Oh yeah, the theater of war. I mean, it's all. I've come to see the entire world as like an open air prison, or like I was listening to a guy. There's a show called Hoaxbusters Call, and I don't remember the man's name. Chris. There's a Chris on Hoaxbusters Call. I know he's friends with Jay Dyer and does work with those guys. But he talks a lot about social engineering, about how the environment that you're in is manufactured prior to your birth, and that we all imagine it being something organic or normal, when really it's more like us buying a fish and putting it in a fish tank, and you know the fish doesn't really think about the water, right? That's the what's the author? Let me think. There's a famous author. He's dead now. He wrote a book. It'll come to me. Let's see. What's his name? Anyway, I'll think of his name.
Think about it a different way.
Yeah, I'll think of his name by telling you the story. So he says he uses it as an anecdotal story. The two fish are swimming along. They're young guys. They're the young fish swimming along, and they see an older fish coming the opposite way, and he swims past them and says, "Hey there, youngsters. Hey, gentlemen, how's the water today?" And they both say, "Hello, hello," and they keep swimming, and the old guy's gone, and they're both together, and they look at each other and say, "What's water?" You know, that's kind of how I've come to view the world. That you you take it for granted that you were born in America, or you were born in China, or you were born in France, and you certainly don't imagine that some powers that be years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, had a contiguous plan to create something that you were going to be born into.
Generations long.
Yeah, a generation-long plan. So it's like I see human beings as almost a taxable open-air prison, or what did the man say? I was listening to it when I walked up to drop the car off for maintenance. He said that it's like we're livestock products. You know, we're just like cattle, literally livestock products, that they're telling us what to eat, what to think, literally affecting how and what we breathe, you know, what products we use to sleep, what products we use to communicate, that it's
what
all...
we wear.
Yeah, what we wear, yeah.
Everything.
You know, that it's all engineered around us and made to be thought of as something organic or natural, coincidental. I believe almost nothing is a coincidence anymore. I can't think of especially on the grand scale of the world stage, to say, oh, that's a weird coincidence. That's a weird coincidence that they would be attacking Iran, and you know, there's going to be they're pulling out of the nuclear deal, and now there's going to be World War III. Finally, we've been waiting. You know, I don't believe in any of that. So we still got 5 people. I guess I must be soapboxing and stumping pretty good because nobody's even commenting. You know, I get really angry when I see people call it technocracy. A technocracy. Okay, there's no technocratic law being written. Okay, the whole point of understanding the research of Niki Raapana, and especially to understand why she's discouraged and has walked away from trying to keep people focused on what she did, is because it's too late. It's already communitarianism. You know, it's been a long, long time ago that, as we know it, that the United States government's legal system, whether it be on the federal level, the state level, or even on your municipal local level, has worked in any way. Even in the small town or the city that you live in, you're well aware that it doesn't function. That the people are given a pass, and they always have been, but then, even worse, now the fabric of it all is breaking down. And you know, you see it all with if you follow all this QAnon stuff and how they're all crossing their fingers hoping that finally, well, it's on both sides, QAnon on one side, and then you got the Russian scandal on the other, so that everyone's crossing their fingers and hoping and looking at their watch, waiting and praying to Jesus or whoever they pray to that Trump's going to prison and he's going to be impeached, or Hillary's finally going to get caught and she's going to be thrown in prison, and so Obama too, and down the list, and all the names go. And, you know, at the low levels, a few little marked scapegoats do get caught. Anthony Weiner, you know, he gets caught fooling around with little teenage girls, and so he gets, what, 18 months in prison, right? And you can only imagine if it was you that got caught fooling around with a 15-year-old girl, sending her a picture of your weenus, that you probably wouldn't get 18 months in prison, you know.
Yeah. You're Carlos Danger.
Yeah, Carlos Danger. What a name.
What a name.
You see that? They can't
What
see
was
it.
that?
Let's
Oh,
see.
no.
Oh,
You can come over here to the...
no, I'm gonna try. I'm
my
gonna try
camera.
something here. Let's see. Oh, come on.
Oh, there you go.
This is RX Only Picture Show. If you only knew what I was trying to do, then you'd laugh too.
It would be amazing if you did it.
Oh!
Just for you guys watching, we've got a gong over here.
Yeah. The Love Boat! Oh, Gong Show?
The Gong Show.
Anybody remember the Gong Show? 6 watching now. What were we talking about?
What were we talking
Devil worshippers!
about? Oh, yeah. I guess.
Let's see. I still missed. Drum roll, please. Okay. Let's try again.
Nice! Took a drum roll.
It did. There we go.
All right.
Oh. It's hard. It's right at the wrong angle.
There you go.
For whom the bell tolls. Governance. I'm really tempted to even look up the word governance just so people have a better idea of what I'm talking about.
I'll look it up.
So that all sounds really negative. Okay, Sean, so we live in open-air taxable prisons, or we're something like cattle that are being, we're products, you know, and what's being, you know, and if you look into the birth certificate and everything like that, you know, all of these guys that call themselves sovereign citizens, or the whole legal name nonsense, and I don't call it nonsense lightly. I looked very carefully into a lot of that, and there's a lot of truth to it. There's a lot of truth to the phoniness of language, and when I say phoniness, I mean like from Phoenicia, Sumerian roots of language, the ancient roots of language and legal systems. Goes back to the census again, to take the baby's feet and put 2 imprints on a clay ball so that you're logged with the courts. You know, there's a lot of truth to all that, but it's also not that you should turn around and try and pretend to tell the cops that you're not required to have a driver's license and expect that they're somehow going to tip their hat and set you free. You know, it's more complicated than that, you know. So I'd say on the upside, it's really negative to think that everything's like an infinite onion skin of hoaxes and bullshit that you can't really believe or rely on. But on the opposite side of that, we're more blessed and more wealthy and more rich in food, in information, in clothing, in materials, in money than almost all of the people in the world that have come before us. And so despite all of that, I sometimes think we're manufacturing our own imagined suffering. Just, I don't know, because we don't have anything else to do. So,
Right back.
5 people still watching. I got an audience of 5, it says. So according to Wikipedia, let's see. Let's see if we can compare governance to government. Governance is all of the processes of governing, whether undertaken by a government, a market, or network, over a social system, family, tribe, formal or informal organization, a territory, or across territories. Let's just stop right there. Okay, so thank you, Jeff. Mujahideen there in the chat. Thank you. That's very helpful to me for you to point out that it's not government. So governance is all of the processes of governing, whether undertaken by a government. So that's saying it could be the government governing you, or it could be a market. Okay, so there's your corporations, your capitalism. There's the market, the money markets, the Forex, all of the different markets, any market you can think of. Maybe that's what's governing you. Maybe it's the social media market or a network. Those two go together, you know. Obviously, people like me who are more paranoid, conspiracy-minded, that's what we think of, is that there's an invisible network beyond all of the networks that you can identify that are having an influence that you can't necessarily correlate anything to with certainty, right? That's the fear of all of the conspiracy nerds like me, is that it goes way beyond Rothschild, Rockefeller, Bush, Harriman, the Mellon family, the Seagram's family, that above them even is some invisible person or entity that has even more power than them, and we're not even able to identify anything about them, where they are, who they are, right? This is the idea of some network. So governance could be the government, it could be the market, maybe it's a network, and so that's all over a social system. So now we've got social systems inside of social systems. We always have, but now it's way out in front. There's always been social networks. People think of social media and social networks, we imagine it as if a new thing. There's always been social networks. You know, when you go into a small town, like say Dayton, Washington, you pull up into town and you got to slow down to about 25 miles an hour if you're smart, because they're getting a lot of revenue by writing tickets. And over on the right-hand side of the road, there's a great big sign that says, "Welcome to blank." In this case, it would say, "Welcome to Dayton, Washington." And then it says, "Free and accepted Masons." And it says the... let's see, the Elks Club might be up there, and the Eagles Club might be up there, and the Rotary's probably up there, and the Lions Club is up there, and then right there next to that usually is a sign with all of the churches listed up there.
The Order of the Eastern Star.
Yeah, the Order of the Eastern Star. If you're maybe if you're in Louisiana, maybe it's gonna say that it's the oh, now I forgot. Prince Hall Masons, you know, because the Masons used to be separated. They've become a little bit more open now, but back in the day, if you were just happened to have considerably darker skin than mine, then you better go on over to the Prince Hall, brother, because you're not welcome in here with the white Masons.
Boolean Society or something like that.
Oh, man, I don't know that one for sure.
I think it's
but yeah, so those are all social networks. And so the idea of social networking now to be Facebook, Twitter, now they've got MeWe, and there's new ones popping up all the time. Yeah, MeWe is one I jumped onto because there's an amazing Facebook group that I think it's gonna start to fall apart because Facebook's just going finally fully into the toilet. But it was called Untying the Gordian Knot, and I used to only lurk and almost never post because all the level of information in there, was more political than I am. I'm really a high strangeness conspiracy weirdo guy. I don't really follow regular politics much. I just get like the headline sweep. But that was a really good spot for it that wasn't bullshit. Most places, in my opinion, are bullshit. So when you look through here, governance is all of the processes of governing, whether undertaken by a government, a market, or a network, over a social system. Now you have a social system and a virtual social system working together inside of each other, and that's giving everybody more information than they've ever had in the past. So, and it even mentions it: family, tribe, formal or informal organization, a territory, or across territories. So that's everything. And whether through laws, norms, power, or language, or of an organized society. Okay, so this is, I'm glad that, I can't thank Jeff enough for saying that. Governance. Okay, so what's the article that Jim first handed me? I'm just going to hand that back, because if we keep going, the whole thing, the whole show is going to be about governance if we read to the bottom, just to the bottom of that Wikipedia article. And that's a great, Jim, I got to give you credit too for saying that we should read this week. Read something out loud. Yeah. It really spawns, it gets the juices flowing in your brain. Okay, so the article Jim handed me said, if you're in China and you get pulled over and you're about to get a ticket for speeding, if you just go on whatever Chinese Facebook is and confess that you were speeding
yeah,
to your peers on the social network, the virtual social network, and at least 20 of them like it, then you won't have to pay. Well, people are going to do this. They're going to do it. And if it came to America, we'd all do it too, because we'd all be getting ourselves out of the fucking fine. If you're flipping through your feed on Twitter and it says your two buddies that you love posted and shit posted with, or one of them's pulled over, then not only are you going to go, oh crap, like and share, you're going to hit up 3 people in private messages and be like, hurry up and go, man, he's only got 30 seconds left or he's going to have to pay $100. Yeah. So they're conditioning us to take governance over each other, so that they don't have to do it with any authority of with the monopoly of violence that they have. That's what it all is. It's all trying to hide and insulate the monopoly on violence so that it seems less prevalent than it is. And it's working.
Like extortion.
Yeah,
strong arm extortion.
It's exactly what it is. It's a passive-aggressive strong arm. And they do it all like boiling the frog, by degrees, slowly over time.
Yeah. But you should explain that in case some people don't.
Oh, the boiling of the frog. If you've never heard this euphemism, okay, so the idea is if you take a pot of water and boil it to a rolling boil, and you take a nice big fat frog and you're going to cook him, and you throw him in there, he'll just jump right out. He won't.
It's like, hot!
It's hot, and he won't stay in there. But if you put the frog in there, and you put the lid on halfway so that he's comfortable and leave him alone, and you turn the heat on just barely so it keeps the pot warm, and you come back in an hour and turn it up a little tiny bit more so it makes it a little bit warmer, over a long period of time, you can boil the frog without him ever trying to evacuate himself from the pot because he doesn't realize what's happening. This is the process that they use against us all the time.
Yes.
This is how they got us all using electronic money instead of cash.
That's right.
I'm old enough to remember when most people thought the idea of exclusively using a credit card or a debit card was nonsense and that they would never do it. Now, if someone pulls out a big wad of ones that are all crumpled up and starts to count through their money in front of you in line at the store, you might be inclined to be irritated with them at having to wait because they could have just stuck the chip in the machine and finished their transaction more quickly. Let's see, I better... KUMITE, UNDEAD, fake news, Iran, flat Earth, Iran. I want to talk more about Iran because I've got a mind-blowing idea for everybody out there that and this does tie in with all the communitarianism, all of the governance. Okay, what if I told you that you don't ever have to worry about North Korea, Iran, Israel, the United States of America, as far as a big global terrifying war, because nuclear bombs are fake. It's a hoax. It's a lie. It's not real. And I can refer you, and I'll put it in the... I'll come back and put Jesse WAUGH and a man on Vimeo named Jihan Park, who's a Korean man. I'll put their videos and their reference material in the link afterwards. I could find it and link it now, but anyway... Okay, Jesse WAUGH, I did an interview with Jesse WAUGH on another strategy that the powers that be, or whatever you want to call them, use to undermine people like Niki Raapana, undermine people like Jesse WAUGH, undermine people who are actually being genuine truth tellers, not people who are trying to get money or who are trying to be self-important because they're vain or arrogant. People that just... You know, I feel like I'm one of them, you know. Like I prefer just have open dialogue and conversation. I don't have any problem being shown that I'm wrong about something if I can do the searching and finding and verify definitely that you're right and I'm wrong. I'd love to reverse my position on lots of things. But if you go look at Jesse WAUGH's video, Nuke Lies, it's not very long, less than 10 minutes. And especially if you go look at Jihan Park, and it's called Let There Be Light. And I can't remember the name of the video, but it's got a picture of a car. Because he uses a bunch of footage nowadays with HD cameras. He uses a bunch of footage of slow motion footage and HD footage of explosions to demonstrate that we've been deceived by all of the propaganda surrounding nuclear and atomic weapons. And that the facts don't line up. And so when you see all the saber rattling and everybody shaking their fist and, oh no, North Korea's got the ICBMs and Russia's got the ICBMs and Iran, we're going to back out of the Iran deal and now they're going to finally get the nukes. Or it's all propaganda. It's just fear porn. They just know that the idea in your head that the whole world can be blown up is so horrifying and that we've all believed it for so long that it's like the dad in a family, instead of threatening to punish one kid, threatening to go and throw the Nintendo in the garbage. Instead of little Tommy over here is going to lose his Nintendo privileges, or instead of everybody's going to lose their privileges for a week, I'm going to take that thing out in the backyard and smash it with a hammer. All the kids say, no, 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 please, Dad, no. We'll do anything. Don't destroy the video games. Well, that's what nukes are. It's just a scare tactic against the whole world to make the civilizations from one country to the next just cower in fear. Anything, just don't blow us up, you know. And so I don't know if you start to. I'd love to have proof that nuclear fission is a real thing, but I don't believe it. The video footage, if you go look at all the video footage, it's all just models and it's just special effects. It's industrial light and magic. You know, that's what it is. Of course, you know me. If you followed me around or you know me very well from these streams or in person, you know that I feel the same way about the moon landing, about outer space, really about particle physics. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of us out here nowadays on the internet especially that are starting to take a really close look at everything they taught us since we were young children and finding terrific incoherence and flaws and contradictions. And so we knuckle down and search harder to verify that like, okay, maybe the front story isn't so great, and maybe they couldn't give us the bottom line straight answer on how complicated this process is, so that's okay. We know they always kind of give a pop science or a generic answer out front, and it's usually more complicated than that. So we'll look a little closer, and then you should be able to find the real dirt and understand why they diluted it for, you know, for the low IQ Andy Worskies. Just kidding, Andy. If you guys watch Bloodsports, Andy Worski was blowing up this morning on the KUMITE because the chat was picking on him for having a low IQ. But you find with a bunch of this stuff, you know, I am by no means satisfied with the evidence of us being on a globe, and I haven't stopped searching. There's a guy out there, his name's Wolfie, and he keeps posting these videos that he thinks he's got it all proven and tidied up so that anyone who says they question the shape of the earth is just a fool. But I say Wolfie's a fool, and I say farther than that, he's probably an agent or something, because it's nonsense. It's just nonsense, you know. Same thing with nuclear bombs. Same thing with diet. You know, that's another thing this guy on the Hoaxbusters Call. I like Hoaxbusters Call, and they keep getting pulled down off the internet. It's hard to find them. If you go to a channel called Talk Shoe and type Hoaxbusters Call conspiracy in there, you'll find them. And they do a lot of reading and referencing books that are exposing how culture is engineered, how social engineering works, how it's all backroom long-term plans and nothing's organic or coincidental. It's not evolution, boys and girls. That's another one. I definitely don't believe in evolution. I don't know. I can't believe we haven't gotten one comment. I've got all 6 of your attention that well, no comment. Somebody give me a comment.
What do you guys think about evolution?
Jim's drawing us a picture.
Do a little drawing.
I guess I'll just have to play you a song. Play a song about how I think they're all actors. They're all actors. They're all cousins. They're all fucking cousins. I'm telling you. Look it up. They're all
presidents.
They're all literally, yeah, the presidents. There's a little girl who did research trying to figure out what's up with the bloodlines of the presidents, and it turned out they were all descended from the King of England. All of them. And that's not some crazy conspiracy. That's a little girl doing her homework more effectively than they would have preferred her to in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
That's pretty cool.
They're all cousins, boys and girls. This song is called Selections, or Select Ions, because you think you're getting a vote. What's with all the left-handed presidents? That's a great question. I don't know.
Left-handed presidents?
Despite me playing the guitar right-handed, I am actually left-handed. So, but that's because when my mother went and traded my very first musical instrument, an accordion, for my very, very first guitar when I was probably only in the 5th grade, and I didn't pick it up and play it for a long time after that. The man told her, if he's never played, have him learn right-handed because it's inconvenient to play left-handed. And I can't thank that man enough. Whoever the man was in Sacramento at the music store was very smart to not allow me to learn left-handed.
Then you could never borrow a guitar.
Yeah,
you
that's
need
really...
that light. Turn on your...
Oh, thank you.
Your, there you go.
Yeah, this song's about well, it's a bunch of families. They're all related. They're all cousins. You want to have fun looking up who's related to who, who's married to who's inbred as hell. Look up Sabbatean Frankism. Figure out what that's all about. There's your homework for next week.
Sabbatean Frankism?
Yeah, yeah. Sabbatai Zevi and Jacob Frank. Can't inside and tell me, what does it mean to be president? It's a henchman's bag and the money spent. It's not like house, you're just paying the rent. It's like you're paying a fee just to pitch a tent. It's a family of actors playing a role, and you're goddamn right, they sold the soul. It's a blood old curse on a long black scroll. Motherfuckers just a drinking from an 05 bowl. And you think you get a vote in the selection? Let me tell you to your face, they just putting you on. You're driving home from work, they're out doing wrong. Buggers got me so sick I had to write a song. Ooh, ah. Sing it again, they're just actors playing a part. They got you thinking with your head instead of your heart. And you know they're never gonna go and take their hand if you just keep letting them play pretend. Let me tell you how the president never died. From Abraham Lincoln to the other guy. Black magic got you worried about that boat. Your kids late for school and you forgot a coat. And yes, you heard me how the president never died. No, they just faked it all and lied. First lady and the kids pretend to cry. And a long black person just a coughing inside and tell me, what does it mean to be president? It's a henchman's bag and the money spent. It's not like owning the house, you're just paying the rent. It's like you're paying a fee just to pitch a tent. Ain't your family of actors playing a role? Ain't you goddamn right, they sold their soul. Well, it's a blood oath curse on a long black scroll. Motherfuckers just a drinking from an 05 bowl. And you think you get a vote in the selection? Let me tell you to your face, they just putting you on. You're driving home from work, they're out doing wrong. Buggers got me so sick I had to write a song. Ooh, ah. All right, woohoo!
Woo! Remember this? Was that?
Remember this?
Hey. Yeah.
To be clear, I'm not saying to fight the communitarians. You better figure out who they are, how they work, how they function. Decide whether or not you're one of them. If you're not, you better decide and figure out how to hide it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a thumbs up from Ryan Martin.
All right. Hey. Now we're getting somewhere. I got a song for Ryan Martin. You know what? I think it's better with those sunglasses on. That light's bright right there.
Pretty bright, huh?
Yeah. Just to be clear, anyone out there listening, I don't support any political side. I don't support any ideology. I don't believe in it. I think it's pretty funny to watch the right say, rah, 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 we got our Trump, fuck you, build the wall. And the left say, rah, 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 you're going to be impeached. We hate your guts, rah. And they'll actually both use the same information to support their position. Because me being a truly neutral person, like, I don't care, but I did become fascinated with it because I thought Hillary was going to win for sure. So I became fascinated with politics for the first time again in my life since way, way back. I can't remember when I really cared. You know, I voted for Cynthia McKinney, the black senator, because she actually talked about 9/11 and child sex trafficking with all the big arms companies back in the day. But after that, I didn't care. And then Trump got elected, and I'm like, what? Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But I don't support politics. I can't. Again, back to the same thing. I support people who are consistently honest, responsible, effective, reasonably hardworking. I'm not saying workaholic. I don't believe in that either. I've done that before. You know, you need to find a middle ground or avoid shit, one or the other. But
those people are pretty rare at the upper ends of politics. I mean, everybody's in somebody's pocket if they've got an influential position.
Oh yeah, no, I've said that for years too. That the people that you would really want, like all of us have an idea of a mom or a dad or an uncle or a cousin who we think, man, if he would just be the mayor or he would be the senator. if those people get in there, which is rare because they're not crooked and everybody in there is crooked, if they do get in there, they find some way to blackmail them, to contaminate them, to mudsling onto them so that they neutralize and make them ineffective, or they co-opt them. And, you know, I can't say I wouldn't be susceptible. You get up there and you're like, I've got to do the best thing for the people in Walla Walla County. And they're like, Sean, here's $30 million. Shut the fuck up. I'm like, all right, I'm quiet as hell. Well, you know, it's easy to say I wouldn't take a bribe when there's no bribe.
That's true.
You know, somebody hands you a fistful of diamonds and says, shh, you might put it in your pocket. You don't know. It's the people that are confident that they wouldn't that I'm the most suspicious of.
Yeah.
I'd never rat or tell on anybody. Yeah, you're probably a rat. you know what it's like to be in the position of all I gotta do is tell on that guy I hate. He goes to jail and I get something for free. So this for my friend Ryan with the thumbs up there. He actually taught me this song.
Sounded good.
Hey, fuck you, communicarians. How do you like that, Amatayazioni?
Spinning in his grave.
He's alive, baby.
Oh, he's alive.
Amatayazioni is a man who popularized communitarianism, repopularized it. The word actually comes from, well, there was a link way back in the day to, they called it communitarian Ra, and they claimed it came from Egypt. And then
like Ra, the Egyptian sun
like the
god?
sun god. Yeah, they called it because the claim was, and Niki had the link, and then it vanished, and we could never find it again. She had it linked on her website, and then the link timed out, or connected out. It never connected to anything after that. I remember it. But the word came from like the early 1900s, and it was a religious form of communism. It was like Christian communism, and so it came from that. And then Amitai Etzioni and some other professors decided they were going to bring it back because in the 80s, with all of the cocaine stock market, corporate money play going on, that the Americans and the West were being too selfish, and so we had to give more clout back to the community to even out the hyper selfishness. And from, you know, and Amitai Etzioni is still around. He writes for the Huffington Post. He's got the Institute for Communitarian Policy Studies at George Washington University. And the reason that these women found out about him is because when they went to try and investigate the government's officials of the city of Seattle and try to understand why they were doing things the way that they were doing and exactly what they were doing, they kept finding this man's writing and literature in these people's possession. So they'd go and they'd be trying to talk to somebody who was in charge of housing or planning or part of the police force, and they always would have a Amitai Etzioni book or literature around. And so the more they saw that, the more they started to look into it and put the whole thing together. So if you look at Agenda 21, now Agenda 2030, they call it, you know, it's the environmental movement. All that stuff is tied into communitarianism, but most people that you find searching about it will never use the word communitarian. They'll call it Agenda 21, or they'll be against the Green Movement. There's a woman who actually paralleled Niki Raapana's research named Rosa Corey, and she calls it communitarianism, but she stops short of talking about people like Amitai Etzioni and Zionism. So it really is like the crystalline part of the experiment that causes the reaction to happen. When it all clicks and you put it all together, then you see, okay, this is the linchpin that ties everything together. And they're just now starting to bring it out. If you go look at the word in Google Trends, it's like nothing, and now it probably is just barely coming up on the trend, so it's showing up. But 10, 12 years ago, when we were all studying it, it was unheard of, and everyone told us it was a made-up word. They told Niki Raapana she made it up herself. It's just a conspiracy theory. It's not real, even though she would supply them with what we call primary documentation. You know, if I can link you to a PDF on the United Nations website,
Yeah.
that's pretty good source documentation.
Yeah.
That's not some wacko Alex Jones shit, right?
Yeah.
It's here at the UN. Here's
Yeah.
where they're saying it, but people won't look at it. So I think it's sad, but I still think it's important that people know, not because we can all rally together and fight against it, but because if something big's coming, we need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if we just came from 2 hours away and we're driving through a sandstorm that's so tall and so big that we've never seen anything like it in 100 years, haven't heard or seen anything like it, and we're coming to you, when we get here, we need to say, hey, bat down the hatches, get ready. There's the biggest sandstorm we've ever seen coming.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like. I'm not trying to call anyone to action to do anything except for do your own searching and reading. You know, try and prove me wrong. And if you do think you've proved me wrong, please, you know, if it's in good faith and you're not just an asshole, then bring the information to me. You know, or I mean, if you want to troll and fuck around, I'll probably figure it out because a lot of people like to poke at me. I'm kind of silly looking. What you drawing? Do we get to see it? I see what that is. Nice.
So far, it's a frog riding a turtle.
Frog riding a turtle. So, we're maxing out at about 6 or 7 every week. If you're one of the 6 people watching this, what I want you to do this week, your assignment this week, is to go find 3 more people just like you, and I don't know. Bring each one of them a square of toilet paper with the word communitarianism written on it and hand it to him, and while they're reading it, light it on fire and tell them, Arc's only picture show.
It's a good idea.
And then play them my Flat Earth song. Any well-known self-professed communitarians? Good question from Adam Lore there in the chat. The one person that right off the top of my head that I was really shocked, I was reading Orson Scott Card, who's the author of the Ender's Game series, and my grandfather had turned me on to it. And so I was reading his books, and usually when I start to look at any artist or person more than just a cursory glance, Like I learned a Miley Cyrus song on the guitar, so I went and looked at Miley Cyrus's life and her history, and like found a little bit more about her personality. Followed her on Instagram for quite a while. I think I finally unfollowed her because she just bugs, you know. But Orson Scott Card, when I did the same thing, I did some in-depth research on his personality, and he's a Mormon. And in his Wikipedia page, it was listed as his. It said, you know, his political preference is communitarian. So that's probably the most notable communitarian off the top of my head that I've ever found.
Who was that?
Orson Scott Card, the author of Ender's
Ender's
Game
Game.
and all of the Ender's Game series. If I think for a second, I'm sure I can come up with more than that. You know, you hear the Pope say it a lot. Now, I don't know if the Pope calls himself communitarian, but if you type Pope communitarian, you'll get a lot of results of the Pope saying we need a more communitarian approach. I found at one time when I was searching Walla Walla communitarian, I found the word communitarian in one of the high school's documents about how they were going to have the student body government be communitarian, and that was a long time ago. That was very shocking. I found obviously I found a lot of stuff correlated with Whitman College, which is a very famous liberal arts college here in the small town where we live.
Communitarian.
That's a good question for a search though. Famous communitarians. Who's another famous one? I'm trying to think of who else might have acknowledged or admitted that that's their ideology. It's really more popular in all of the rest of the world. It's more likely that they'll call it by its name. Whereas here they'll call it environmentalism, they'll call it Agenda 21, the whole smart grid or community building, the words smart, green, environmental, community, rewilding is another thing.
Rewilding, huh?
Yeah, I heard someone call Noam Chomsky a communitarian. I can't remember who. I'm sure he is. You know, I know people love Noam Chomsky, but he's a tricky dick, man. Noam Chomsky says he's like most people that are as far out as I am would call Noam Chomsky, and almost all the people like him gatekeepers. You know, they don't go all the way. They don't go to the next level of
Here's some
of things that might not be acceptable in polite conversation.
famous communitarianisms.
Oh, you just got a message.
Oh.
I just don't want to. I don't want to swipe away from that if it's important.
You got a Facebook. Here, I'll give you this back.
That's all right. So let's see.
Famous communitarianism.
Famous communitarians. This is interesting. Let's see. It says interactive web biographies of some famous communitarians listed in chronological order from the 18th century to the present day. So there's evidence of what I was saying, that obviously
18th century.
from
wow,
the
200
18th
years.
century till now, obviously Amitai Etzioni, aka, or as they say, Ni, Werner Falk, did not simply coin the word in the middle 1990s or early 1990s. So George Rapp is a religious leader. William McClure, that name rings a bell. I don't know who that is though. Robert Owen, reformer. Frances Wright, or Fanny Wright, okay, that's a feminist lady. Josiah Warren, anarchist. Henry George, economist. Oh boy. Oh, Kropotkin, okay, Peter Kropotkin. I can't say his middle name because he's Russian. Edward Bellamy, novelist. Joseph A. That helps. Labadie, Labadie, I don't know him. Jane Addams, William Lightfoot Price, don't know. Oh, architect. Interesting. Frank Lloyd Wright, they're saying he's a communitarian.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to research that. There's actually a house that people think was designed here locally in Walla Walla by Frank Lloyd Wright, but the truth is that it was designed by someone who studied under him. It's not like he came and designed the house. It's a beautiful house though, but so that name rings a bell. Henry Theodore Hodgkin, medical missionary. None of these ring a bell so far. If anybody listening to this in the chat knows any of these people, give us a quick bio there. Type it in. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. See, this is very suspicious to me. I would be very curious to see what evidence they have for FDR being a communitarian. I'm not saying that he's not, but I am saying that it was not an adjective to describe people at that time.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a known thing. So and that's what they do. They'll tell you that the Constitution is a communitarian document, that the Bible is a communitarian document, that Freemasonry is a communitarian fraternity, etc., etc. So they do this Alice in Wonderland logic of saying, well, everything in the past, that's what they meant. They always meant this. So they don't say this is new and we're bringing something new. They say, oh, this is actually, we just didn't fully understand it till now. Everything was always communitarian. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
They're just blowing smoke up our ass. You know? FDR, Eberhard Arnold, Scott Nearing, Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, Clarence Pickett, Ralph Bortsey, John Andrew Rice, Rexford Tugwell, Jerome Rodale, Lawrence Labadie. Now there was another, so that must be, I'll bet you that's Joseph Labadie's son. Mildred Loomis, Georgia Bergstrom, Miles Horton, Marion Dockhorn. I don't recognize any of these people. Robert Bishop, E.F. Schumacher, Clarence Jordan, Ralph Templin. And the list of who these people are is across the board. It's, you know, architect, civil rights leader, economics, integrationist, missionary. I don't recognize any of these people yet. Let's see if we can get. Let me see if I can jump here a little to more recent history here. Let's go backwards. So Daniel Greenberg, Ralph Gehring, A. Allen Butcher, Dan Christenberry, Laird Schaub, Charles Betterton. Yeah, that's. Oh, and here this is interesting. Maybe I'll stick this. You know, maybe send this to me too. Maybe I'll stick this in the description too.
Okay.
Looks like we're gonna have to change the name of this show to Communitarianism, huh?
I will send this to you.
So yeah, 5 people watching. What now, boys and girls? What now? I know. But let's do this. Give me 1 second here. Oh, he changed it to his wallpaper. That's smart. Never mind. I was gonna put old Amatai up there. So the solution, I think, people always ask that if you start talking about the world being a challenging and horrible place and things being not what they appear to be. And I would say that a vast majority of people that start to become obsessed with or look into conspiratorial things, they really probably shouldn't, because they don't come out the other side. Now, not everyone comes out the other side, so then you end up listening to somebody like Alex Jones and believing that the New World Order is coming to put you in a FEMA camp, and the chemtrails are poisoning you to death, and the vaccines are killing you, and you know, all of that stuff may or may not be true. But you have a tremendous amount of power as a human being in 2018 to take action and do things. You have more access to information, more access to creature comforts like heat, clean air, water, all those things than almost all the people ahead of you. And the one thing that I focus on more than anything else as far as taking action in my own life, other than to make sure I'm being honest with myself, is to learn and practice to cultivate food, so that you're not down at the Safeway or the Albertsons or the grocery store. To me, that's the most important thing we can do, is to go back to what our great-grandparents and some of our grandparents were doing. Cultivate a garden, learn how to grow fruit trees and berries and melons especially, but also learn how to grow cucumbers, tomatoes, squash, corn, all that stuff, you know, and lots of herbs. Herbs are so healthy and good for you. You know, there's a man I've been studying a little bit whose name's Dr. Robert Morse. And Dr. Robert Morse preaches a diet of nothing but fruits and berries and herbs, herbal tinctures, and then, you know, some other processes of detoxification. And it's a really hardcore process, and maybe someday I'll try it. But he's cured people of all manner of disease, everything. There's also another famous man, Dr. Sebi, who's now allegedly deceased. They say he died trying to he was on a flight transporting some money, and they found that to be suspicious, and then they had him in custody, and then supposedly he died. But these guys all promote a strict raw food diet. Dr. Sebi even went so far as to not eat anything that was hybridized at all, and I don't mean like GMO. I mean like if it was hybrid at all, he said don't eat it. So he's saying carrots are no good, all this like really extreme stuff. But the results they got were unbelievable. So if I ever fall ill, God forbid, my intention is certainly to experiment with a really radical and extreme diet combination of only fruit and fasting or things like this before I ever consider something like chemotherapy or heavy medications like prednisone or depressant medications and all this kind of stuff. And if you look at people who have been stricken with horrible health problems, if you follow their story, a lot of the time they've gone through every single medical professional they can to try and solve the problem, and finally come up on someone like a Chinese herbalist or a fruitarian or a raw food or a juice dietitian or a person who really promotes fasting, and then they make themselves well when the regular medical doctors have told them that hope is lost and there's no chance and you're just going to be stuck with your autoimmune disorder or your tumor or your cancer or whatever it is. That instead they've gone and healed themselves and they become advocates of this really unique diet. And so that's the reason I tell people, you know, if something really happens and they crash the stock market or bad things happen in the world and it becomes really tight, so you walk into the Walmart or the grocery store and there's nothing on the shelves and everybody's buying everything they can get their hands on trying to hoard it, and now the shelves are empty and nobody's got anything. Well, if you and me and Jim and 10 other people here and there that we all know, if everyone's growing something, then when that happens, we've put a buffer and a cushion there for ourselves to prevent the serious pinch of the problem, to take the pain and suffering out of being lack of resources. And I don't remember who said it or where I read it, but I'm sure most of you are familiar with the financial crisis in Greece, that they were under what they call austerity, which means the money ain't moving. The velocity of money slows down to almost zero and it's not going anywhere. And so they did this in Greece. A lot of the people went back to tilling the ground, farming and planting. And the people that did that, the communities that did that, felt way, way less of a pinch underneath this this new ruling that, you know, that it was gonna be super tight. So I encourage everyone to, even if you just start with a little box of herbs in your bedroom window, to start the process to practice and learn how to cultivate things on the ground. Why? Because if you don't practice now, if things do go to shit, God forbid, you're not going to know how to do it, and it's going to be really hard to learn how to do it when you're under the tremendous pressure and stress of catastrophe or crisis being right in the middle of your lap. If you start now while things are at least okay and you get good at growing tomatoes or squash or lots of herbs, then you know, or even for that matter meat. I mean, I'm not a meat eater, you know, I've done it on and off throughout my life, but even if that's your thing, you know, learn how to raise a cow or a sheep or a chicken for eggs now while everything's good, so that way if shit does go really bad, at least we all have the knowledge. Especially if, God forbid, the grid goes down, we don't have electronics, everyone's gotten rid of their print books, we may not have the reference material we need to even try to learn. So by all means, do something now, you know. It doesn't hurt to study all this stuff I'm talking about and find out what you really think. See if you think Amitai Etzioni is a good guy or a bad guy. See if you think communitarianism is a good thing or a bad thing, etc., you know. But even more important than that, I would say, is to start now practicing the cultivation of things that you know you need. Skills, foods, etc. You know, learn how to darn your socks, learn how to you know, screw a couple boards together, or whatever it is you think is going to make it so that your life is easy in the future. If shit goes bad, you want to have skills. And it's fun to play with the yo-yo, but yo-yo is really not at the top of the list for skills you're going to need if we don't have any food. You know, it's going to be way better if you're the guy that coincidentally knows how to grow a melon patch, because you secretly hid a bunch of Hermiston watermelon seeds, and now there's some sunlight and some water nearby, and you can bring everybody dessert. Alright. Well, we still got 5 people and 2 likes. Hey, smash that like button, boys and girls. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Come on here and
Please.
they say hat in hand for a reason, like this.
Please, if you would, sir. If you're enjoying the content, please press the like button. Thank you.
Hey, quit barking. Come on. Come on, dude.
What else? What else? I wonder if we change the title if it'll bring more people in. Is that cheating? What's this do? Participants, pop out chat. Nope. Oh, edit video. There we go. I'm gonna change this title. So number 7. We didn't really talk about the KUMITE, but I'm gonna leave that there anyway. Let's just delete everything else. Oh wait, no, Yo-Yo is still on there. And we did get a little bit of juggling in. Oh, and we were to throw nukes, huh? Throw nukes? Hey, throw me one of those nukes, brother. Let's see. All right. And take us back. Hell, I didn't realize our chat thing's not working.
Yeah.
Could go. Sorry, I'm taking a breath here, folks. Forgive me. Feel like I soapboxed pretty good there for you for a second, so. Is this where you get it? So go. Copy. And close that. Add a source over here. Still working on the OBS Live. We've been just so while I'm doing this, I'll try and multitask here, which is not the ideal way to do things, by the way. Anyone that brags that they're good at multitasking is full of shit. Smart people know that you only do one thing at a time. You know. Don't believe me, try carrying fire. Let's see. Anywhere. You know, just carry some fire.
Yeah, that's true. Try carrying fire.
Image. Media source. Oh, I did this once before. I forgot. How do you do it? Maybe it's this way. Let's try that. Okay, let's see if that works. Sorry to do the tech stuff while we're on stream here, folks, but we're new. Let's see if that works. Does that give us this over there? All right, that worked. Our beautiful.
Oh, nice! You did it.
Our beautiful script is not there, but that's okay. We can go without the script to make it all. Oh, let's not block Jim.
Don't block me.
There. All right, so at least the chat's in there. Now, if you guys just chat, it'll show up. See, I can play more music. I can continue to rant about backroom politics and the inner workings of what I see as a very strange, but at the same time a very wonderful world. We could yo-yo. We could. Looks like Jim's found 3 apples. We could have Jim juggle. Mind if I show your picture?
Sure.
All right. While I was talking about the minutia of high strangeness in the government, Jim quickly drew up this frog sitting on the back of a turtle. So, for only $75. We'll ship this to your house.
Well, it's not done yet, but
Oh no, it's $75 right now. We'll rip it off of here and send it to you like this. If you want to wait till it's done, it's probably okay, interesting. All right, well, thanks for letting us know, Ryan. I'd really like to schedule an appointment to come see you, my friend. This is awesome that we're able to communicate on live stream, but both Jim and I, honestly, probably for 2 years have been talking about a chance to get together with you because we feel like the things that we're doing professionally and the things that you're doing professionally definitely correlate, and there might be a chance for us to make a whole lot of money without feeling too bad. Because we both have different apparatus at the various shops that, well, I don't know if you managed to get yourself a 3D printer or access to one, but if you have a 3D printer, we could probably, we should talk turkey, bro. I'm not going to say any more than that. Those of you that know us know what's up, and if you don't, well, that's what it means to be out of the loop. Sad for you. I'm curious what you're painting, though. I want to see. Nuclear bomb over my shoulder. I'm going to play one more song, and then I got to take a piss. Oh. I wish they'd hurry up and put these phones inside of our head. So strange to me. Every time I go live, people send me weird messages. Like weird private messages. Like I announce on more than one platform that I'm going to be live.
yeah.
Like
That happens to
i.e.
me, too.
fully preoccupied. And then you send me like way off base private messages like, what you trying to do to me? Stop sending me private messages and go watch my live
You
stream.
must not be watching.
Oh my gosh. Apparently we're doing all right over here because my girlfriend said over at the house for a little while the power was out.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Which planet's retrograding now?
Yeah,
My
all of
crystal-loving astrological brothers and sisters.
them.
Y'all Christians need to pray a little harder. Alright. You want to try and do something together?
What are you thinking?
I don't know. Well, let's make sure we're in tune. If you don't feel like it, it's all
I'm
good.
not really feeling it right
Not
now.
feeling it? All right.
No. Just listen.
Just listen. What's the song? I guess I got an idea here. I got an idea. Who was it used to say that? Was it my grandma's boyfriend? Idea?
Idea?
I got an idea. How's that? I'm pretty obsessed with those three chords, huh?
Yeah.
G, C, and D. I saw her today at the reception. Glass of wine in her hand. I knew she was going to meet her connection. At her feet were a bloodstained man. You can't always get what you want. Oops. you need. Oh yeah. Now we're playing. When you gotta turn around and look, I know we're getting somewhere. Son of a bitch gonna stop.
Are you gonna stop? You stopping?
You don't always get what you need.
Yeah, it says you get what you need if you try sometimes.
You just might.
If you try, so if you take the rhythm out of the words, so if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. So that's Mickey Jagger from old Mother England. Thank you, thank you. Little heads up about the Rolling Stones, but yeah, Mick Jagger is saying, if you try only sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. And that's Mick Jagger, a pretty fabulously well-to-do motherfucker. So that means we probably just never get what we need. But yeah, if you look it up, Mick Jagger graduated from the London School of Economics, and then he had this wonderful idea that he was going to put together like this shitty, dirty, crazy rock and roll band. And the guys over at the London School of Economics said, "Hey, well, we'll finance it for you. So see how you do. Maybe we'll get a decent return on our investment. Maybe not. Go for it, Mick." I think they did all right.
I think they knew they were going to get a return.
You think they knew?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no such thing. Someone had to have taken a risk, Jim. So how do you guys feel about usury? Interest rates. What do you think of that?
I usually don't think about stuff like that.
I usury don't think about it.
I usually.
I agree with Adam Lohr in the chat that the song does definitely come off as optimistic. And oh, just so you guys know, whoever's still sitting out here listening to this, tomorrow night, if you look up End of Days Radio, tomorrow night I'm going to be on the radio with this guy, and we're going to talk about heavy metal and communitarianism and gardening. Similar to what I did tonight is kind of a rant. I guess this was kind of an accidental dress rehearsal. That's a good thing. Maybe before tomorrow I should actually take some fucking notes, and then I'll actually be prepared. Instead of just working out of my thick skull like I always do. People get really mad at me, Jim.
I couldn't imagine why.
They get really mad at me. Because I can remember a lot of unimportant shit. I can't remember to show up to court or to the dentist, but fucking A, I can remember who the secret communitarians are. But yeah, I'll post it on my Facebook, my Twitter, and everything. The guy's name I think is Daniel, but End of Days, and I know he's a heavy metal guy too. We used to all play heavy metal when we were young. I don't really play much heavy metal anymore. I guess I played some last week. Brian Martin, you some bitch. How was it like? Yeah. Holy Wars, you ever heard that song, Jim?
Huh. Oh, probably.
Megadeth.
Megadeth, yeah. I think I've heard some Holy Wars.
Hey, Jim. Ask me. What do you think of usury?
Hey! SB, what do you think of usury?
I don't have much interest in it. That's what Adam Lohr said. That's good. That's my brother.
I don't have much interest in it.
I don't have much interest in it. Yeah, some people find it interesting.
I usually don't have much interest in it.
I usually don't have any interest in it at all. A game of chance, not the way I play it, sonny boy. I'll be right back, man. Dead air, dead air.
Dead air!
We got dead air, dead air.
Oh,
Dead
no.
air.
I'm gonna have
Oh,
to-
man, our set list got destroyed. Someone ripped it in half.
Oh, no. So, let's see. I'm looking up some banker jokes. Let's see. Top 10 banker jokes. Why don't sharks attack bankers? Professional courtesy. A young banker decided to get his first tailor-made suit. As he tried it on, he reached down to put his hands in his pockets, but his surprise, he found none. He mentioned this to the tailor, who asked him, "You're a banker, right?" The young man answered, "Yes, I am." "Well, whoever heard of a banker put his hand into his own pocket?" Ba-dum-bum.
That's pretty funny.
An investment banker said he was going to concentrate on the big issues from now on. He sold me one in the street yesterday. I don't think I get that one. Bankers are people that help you with problems that you would not have without them.
And that's true. Wait, was this an accident?
Yeah.
Oops. Apparently I'm
Oh, I think it started to rip when I pulled it off the wall, and then...
Because it was like stuck under a box. He must have tried to grab it. It looked like
Yeah, I don't
were you
know.
mad? Did you get mad at me while I was gone?
We'll tape it back together. The set list. If you owe the bank $100, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $1 million, that's their problem.
No, wait. Is that right, or is it if?
Maybe it's the other way around.
I think it's if the bank owes you. No, I must not say that, huh?
Well, it's in pounds.
Oh, if you owe the bank £100, that's your problem. If you owe the bank £1 million, that's the bank's problem.
Hospitals report that the hearts of bankers are in strong demand by transplant patients.
Because they've never been used.
Bankers never die; they just lose interest. Banker jokes.
Banker jokes. Bankers never die; they just lose interest. So, we're always taking requests here at RX Only Picture Show. Doesn't mean that we'll grant them, but we are always willing to hear your requests. Oh, there we go.
A little juggling.
I do love the idea that we both, not sure what to do, grab a yo-yo and some fruit and keep your act going, keep the... I do love loop-de-loop. I was thinking about drawing on my Bogdanov, but I think if I was going to do that, I'd want to go to my Google Plus account over here and throw the big bog up on the screen so I can see some
that's a
detail.
good idea, yeah. We'll have to set that up for next week.
Who's messaging me? Oh, you sent me a message, cool.
Oh, that was me.
It's so weird to look at my phone and have it say that you shared my Facebook post. Even having watched you do it, I'm like,
yeah, it is pretty weird.
like, Jim's on Facebook, but he doesn't use it.
I'm not a big Facebook fan.
There's a guy in the chat that's the same way.
Who's that?
Ryan Martin.
Oh, I like him already.
You and Ryan get along just fine. I need to go see his dad too. Wonder what he's painting. I want to see. I was thinking to get into this epoxy floor business.
Oof.
I still like the idea of getting into the concrete business. Just because we already have some knowledge that cross-pollinates there. Not knowledge and materials.
Yeah.
Like bird baths and
Making
water features, and I think it'd be really easy, man. As usual. I wonder what kind of, in rural areas we can get grants that people can't get other places. So if we finagle it just right, we might be able to get, if we've got a decent garden, some of the money might have to go towards water features, which includes, maybe starting to set up really high quality. Because I think the only way to do that whole concrete thing we were talking about is to, I know the original idea was because maybe we could get a really good deal because we know the people, but I think
it's always a great idea.
Well, I think that's a foot in the door. Maybe do that just a little bit and try and bank a little bit of money, but then make the highest quality concrete that we can, so that it's like that really sealed, shiny, polished stuff. Like really high quality pours of stone, or even I still love the idea of geopolymers.
Well,
You guys ever hear the theory that the pyramids were made with geopolymers and not cut stone? There's a really interesting video on the internet about that too. There's this French guy, I don't remember his name, but he's what do we call it, chemist? Is that chemistry? Geopolymers would be chemistry, right? I guess it has to be.
Yeah.
And he takes and makes a mixture of limestone and sets it up so that when the form's done and it sets up in the sun, it's identical. You can't tell the difference between it and the blocks that are there in the pyramids of Egypt. So I found that very interesting. Hey, we got 7. We're up to 7. Hello, new people. Please like, share, subscribe, or don't. Oh crap! I'm ripping off.
Actually,
RFP.
like, share, subscribe, and do.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, and do it.
And do it.
And we take requests. Right now we're yo-yoing and juggling, as you can see. We've been talking communitarianism most of the night with a little bit of nuclear hoax involved, maybe a few songs on the guitar and piano.
So you're not saying that Hiroshima didn't happen. You're saying that it was bombed by
It was firebombed.
firebomb.
It appears to be a firebombing. If you look at the pictures, even right after the event happened, now, I mean, if you look now, that's another weird thing. Okay, so Hiroshima and Nagasaki should be like the best evidence of what happens if nukes are real. And there's people living in those cities. I mean, they're not like they claim like they claim Chernobyl is so dangerous to be around, and they've got it all encased in a big cement dome, and you know you have to stay away from it and everything. But Hiroshima and Nagasaki is just sitting there, you know, and people are living there. You look at the pictures right after it happened, and everything's gone. And of course, they're Japanese, so all of their houses and everything,
Paper houses.
everything is all built out of paper and wood. And then the cement buildings that were there, in the photography right after the event, are standing there. So if atom bomb is what they say it is, how in the hell is it that the only cement buildings that are there, the couple of smaller skyscrapers, kind of like the Whitman Tower or something, are just standing there? And it looks identical to me. And I did a photo comparison between Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the Dresden bombing, which is what Kurt Vonnegut famously lived through in World War II. They bombed Dresden, Germany, and just they call it a firestorm. You know, what they do is they light 7 or 8 or 10 small fires all in a certain proximity to one another, so that it creates a vortex of wind, and then they all pull together and it burns, you know, catches, and it looks to me like Hiroshima and Nagasaki are the exact same thing. But like I said, the Jihan Park, that guy's, to me it's almost tempting to just throw that guy's video up here and watch it. To share the stream and do that, because it's amazing, the evidence that he shows. I wonder if, I could probably do it. You guys want to watch it? Want to sit here and watch a movie?
Yeah, how long is it?
30 minutes or something. What time is it now? 9:30. So that'd be how we can close the show with Jihan Park. What do you guys say? You guys want to watch a? You guys want to watch a movie showing some of the evidence that nuclear bombs are fake? Press 1 in the chat if you want to have me stream for you one of the videos I'm talking about, and then we'll call it a night. Or press 2 if you, I don't know, if you want us to yo-yo and juggle more or make art. You can always type a request in there. So we're down to just 4 people. I don't mind the idea of sitting down and watching that thing.
Well, let's see. I don't see any comments yet. Maybe that means...
Well, it's on a delay.
Oh, yeah.
It'll take a second.
Kind of a delay, right? 10 seconds.
I hit my nipple!
Hey.
My nipple!
Yeah, juggling can be dangerous too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I considered if I'd have had more time, 1 and 2.
Down.
Man, okay, Ryan. Now you got me thinking, how do I do that?
How do we do it?
Okay, we might have to lose the chat.
Are you going to put it in the chat window?
Yeah, I think we'll have to.
You can put it in the main window. Why don't you put it in the main window?
Well, because then they can't see me.
You can just
Oh, that's true. I can slide over to where you're at. That's true. Okay. So let's just, let's add, well, let's do this first. We'll get it ready. All right, we're going to try and accommodate the chat. All of you people that came early before this show has 100,000 followers and the chat's rolling like the wheels of a truck, you guys got lucky because we're really super accommodating to you. Like a first pretty girl you got to date or something. Remember that? You finally got a pretty girlfriend?
Oh, man.
Actually, Jim and I can't relate because all we've ever had is pretty girlfriends. Okay, so Jihan.
As we're
And
doing
Jihan.
that stuff, I'm going to keep juggling. Man.
Jihan Park is on Vimeo. Yeah, keep juggling. That's what they said. Both.
Whoa.
The more you get to know my friend Ryan, the more you know why we used to call him Satan. Just kidding, Ryan. Let there be light. Oh, there must be an N in here. Jinhan. I've tried to contact this guy. I'm a contactor of people. It was you that actually pointed that out to me, that I'm a contactor of people.
You are a contactor.
Why is it doing that? Stop that. Let me choose. We're trying, we're trying. Don't leave us, folks. There it is. Alright. Now, this guy's got a ton of amazing videos, you guys. A ton of amazing videos. Let's go to his channel. Sounded like something, huh?
Oh, it's those cats.
Those cats, yeah, those cats trip me out.
They're tripping.
Alto Ego, yeah, that's another name of his. So, I wonder if, my question is, I wonder if it's going to come through on the, actually, we don't need the, it's all reading. You don't have to have the
sound?
Yeah, the sound. So there's lots of reading. Man, he's done a lot of work since I came on here last. There's that's that one. That's the one. All right, so let's. So then.
Quit chasing cats.
Go like this. We're gonna go like.
Okay, more juggling.
Gotta add a source.
Juggle.
This OBS open broadcast software is amazing if you're thinking about doing some kind of live or even recorded show where you need a bunch of different windows, different cameras. Say you got a guy juggling, a guy playing guitar, you want to see your chat box. You've got the redundant GIF or slideshow of, you know, girls with big boobs but no nipples, you know.
Well, that's a crowd favorite, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's some people's fantasy.
Well, I'm sure there's lots of fantasies out there.
Browser source, we'll call this NUKE. Say okay. And then let's go.
Alright, OBS. Here we go.
Now.
We're juggling.
No,
juggling.
That's not it.
Juggling.
Keep on juggling. Keep on
Lost
juggling.
my,
What in the world?
Third one. Hey.
Try again.
Sit.
He's a nervous little animal, isn't he?
He's a very nervous little
Frodo the dog gets so nervous, so nervous, so nervous, so Frodo, oh Frodo.
No, normally eat apples. Sit down.
All right, look at there, Jim.
Is it working? All right.
All right, so here we have. Let's just do that. We'll just add this in here, and we'll make it big. And we'll push play. Oh, and I guess now you guys can't see us. You want to turn the volume on? It's got music.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
I think they can see us.
Yeah, they should be able to.
No, I can see us.
Yeah, that's gonna get big in just a second.
Sure? No, see? Well, oh no. It's not even big. It's not even playing. That's weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
I bet it's
because you went full screen.
I bet it's the full screen thing, huh?
Yeah.
All right, all right.
It's not working. You lost the,
That's weird. Wonder why it's not working. Oh, it's just hanging on us over here on OBS.
yeah.
OBS didn't like that. Maybe OBS doesn't like it if you try and add something in the middle of the stream. OBS is like, I got this train going about 70 miles an hour. What do you mean you want to put 10 cars in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to have it already booted and suited to go.
Might have to talk about it next week. If we can't get it.
Yeah, I think let's just take this back out of here and see what happens.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Remove Nuke from the thought process. Well, we tried. We apologize for that, and we tried. I want to tell you guys a little story. You know, I went on a... Well, see, I go on 4chan sometimes, which is a very brave thing to admit. And I kept seeing these blood sports threads, and I thought, oh, God, here's more people either that actually think white nationalism and neo-Nazism is a good idea, or they at least think that it's a good idea to pretend that they like these things on the internet, which is very real. You know, if you stick around on 4chan, especially on the poll board, that's the politically incorrect board, long enough, you start to realize that it's a huge LARP, you know, live action role play. A good vast majority of it is these guys don't believe any of that stuff. Now, some of them definitely do, and some of them are actively recruiting people into both ideologies, especially white nationalism and socialism or communism. You can see it both. Now the communists and the socialists don't do so well on the politically incorrect board, but if you go over to other boards, they're on there. But I keep seeing the blood sports thread, and it's like, whatever. So finally I go look, and it turns out, oh, it's not just white nationalists. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, it's people debating and arguing. It's all kinds of interesting stuff. And then I ended up sending $5 to a guy named Andy Worski and going on the Flat Earth debate. And so ever since then, I've been kind of in that community and checking all that out. And it's really, you know, that's what encouraged Jim and I to start this show. Because we were just doing a live music rehearsal.
Band practice.
Yeah, band practice. We were just band practice every week on Wednesdays. And so I went on that show and I got a little ants in my pants, said, hey, let's live stream. Let's do it. And since nobody else is doing a variety show, let's do that. So here we are. You know?
I thought it was my idea.
Well, hey, if it was your idea, then by all means it was your idea. We could do it. Probably was. You said we could do it. And I said, you're right.
I said, let's do it.
And then a week later I said subconsciously, and I'll take credit for it.
You did a very good job.
But yeah, I don't know. That I feel like deflated now because I tried to make the Nuke's lies work.
Oh, Nuke's.
Eventually we're going to get Jesse Waugh on here. I don't know why. I feel like we have to have a bigger audience before I get some of these people that are got bigger names. But it might be the opposite, huh? Bring the bigger names, and the audience will come with them. So, who knows? Oh, we're down to 3 watching.
3 watching?
If it gets down to 2, it's just a music rehearsal. Isn't that the rules? Oh, I should try the bell again. Let's try to ring the bell with the yo-yo. That works. You can just cheat and aim lower and come up underneath it. That's got to look pretty cool as far as the show, right? If they can hear that. Go. Oh. What do you think, Frodo?
Well,
yeah, we're about out of steam here.
Kind of.
What? Don't you know that's
Whoa, yo.
You're a dog that's not very aware of himself. Like I'm sitting here playing with a yo-yo and Jim's juggling, and you go right to the middle like, this is the best spot to get hit in the head. Yeah, I feel like we definitely need to. I was gonna go to Staples and have them print me up one of these pretty big as a reference.
That's a good idea.
Sorry. This is what you're supposed to do for a juggler, like that.
Oh yeah.
So there's my Bogdanov. No progress this week. If you haven't looked up the Bogdanov twins, look them up. That's a lot more lighthearted and fun. So once again, back to politically incorrect. On the politically incorrect board, they say take the bog pill. And so then you go click on the bog pill links, and it's these twin brothers that when they were young they were really handsome, but now they've jacked their faces up with plastic surgery, and so everybody says that it's the Bogdanovs that are above the Jews and the bankers in France, and that they're in communication with aliens from outer space, and they're the ones doing the DNA and the artificial intelligence technology, and that's the top of the pyramid. Behind everyone else in the world conspiracy, I guess, above even the old Asian women, right here, the Bogdanovs. So if you haven't taken the bog pill, I think we're going to call this a stream. If you're not interested in communitarianism, you think nukes are real and you're happy with the idea that they're in the world, you're perfectly satisfied with all of the evidence of the globe, the least you could do is entertain yourself by typing in bog pill Bogdanov twins meme. If you type bog pill deep soy, you probably get some really awesome results. Maybe we'll do a whole show on deep soy sometime.
Oh, deep soy.
But let's see. I guess you go over here. Any last words?
I think subscribe.
Yeah.
Comment, like, thumbs
Please
up.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
That we're doing this every week, and we're pretty happy with some regular viewership. It looks like we're getting some folks that, especially the ones that we know personally, that are coming around. We are totally open to ideas and suggestions. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Jim's a little harder to get a hold of, but he does have a P.O. box. If you really want that information, you can private message me and then mail him something straight to his mailbox. Like, share, subscribe. If you have a subject you want us to cover, a song you want to hear. I set up a Patreon, so you guys know. I set up a Patreon, and I'm going to get the Streamlabs going. Because like everybody else, hey, if you kick us a few dollars here and there, money's a great motivator. You send $100 and say, we want to see you guys get naked and wrestle. We'll probably say no, but we'll be really happy to take the $100. Right, Jim?
Yeah.
So all right. Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you very much for
thank you
coming.
very
We
much.
really appreciate it. That was Lucky Magic number 7 RX Only Picture Show. Like, share, subscribe, and do.
And do.